Previously on No Way Out.
Amanda Ago arrived at St. Mary the Virgin's Girls College, expecting a peaceful NYSC service year. Instead, she began having terrifying dreams of a crying schoolgirl who whispered only two words, "Find me." Amanda, with the help of her new friend, Victoria, is still trying to understand her dreams when a fellow corps member named Tobe was found dead under mysterious circumstances. Amanda and Victoria dig deeper and discovered the ghost was Aisha Ali, a student who disappeared 10 years earlier when the school was still known as St. Joanna Girls Secondary School. But every time they confronted Reverend Sister Beatrice, she denied knowing anything, even after they secretly overheard her trying to cover up Tobe's death. They know that Sister Beatrice is hiding a dark secret and they are determined to dig it out. But just the same night after Tobe's death, Amanda and Victoria are jolted awake by the sound of someone screaming down the hallway. Was another corps member dead again? The piercing scream echoed through the Corpers lodge once again. Amanda and Victoria sprang out of bed at the same time. They looked at each other, their hearts pounding. The scream came again. Without saying a word, they rushed out into the corridor. Almost every door had already opened. The other corps members stood outside their rooms, confused and frightened. The scream was coming from one of the female rooms further down the corridor. Amanda and Victoria pushed through the small crowd and hurried inside. The moment they entered, they froze. No one was dead. One of the female corps members, Miriam, was sitting on the floor beside her bed. She was shaking uncontrollably. Tears streamed down her face as she screamed over and over again, "Please, don't kill me. I will talk. I promise I will talk." Two of the female corps members tried to hold her, but she struggled violently, staring at one corner of the room as though someone was standing there. "There," she cried, pointing with trembling fingers. "Can't you see her?" Everyone turned to look. The corner was empty. "She was there. There was a girl there," Miriam cried. "She was standing beside my bed. She wants to kill me." Amanda stepped closer. What did she look like? Miriam's lips trembled. She was young, maybe 15. She wore an old school uniform. Her hair covered part of her face. Amanda and Victoria exchanged a quick glance. It was her. There was no doubt about it. It was Aisha. Before anyone could say another word, hurried footsteps echoed down the corridor. Reverend Sister Beatrice arrived, again, with several teachers. They looked around the crowded room before walking over to Miriam. "What happened here?" One of the corps members answered quietly. She woke everyone up screaming. She said she saw a girl who wants to kill her, standing over her bed. The Reverend Sister looked at Miriam for a few seconds before letting out a quiet sigh. "Everyone is frightened because of what happened to Tobe," she said calmly. "It has been a difficult day, and sometimes grief and fear can make us see things that are not really there." She looked around at the other corps members. "I want all of you to return to your rooms. She probably just had a bad dream. You should all pray. If you can, everything will be alright." Without waiting for any questions, she turned and walked away with the teachers. Amanda watched her leave. Something about her did not feel right. She had tried to sound calm, but her face told a different story. She looked frightened, like someone who already knew exactly what was happening. No one slept again that night. After what had happened to Miriam, the corps members were filled with fear. No one wanted to be alone, so they all gathered at the lodge reception. Some prayed quietly, others simply sat in silence, afraid to even close their eyes. Amanda and Victoria decided to tell others the truth. "We've seen that same girl before," Amanda said. The room fell silent. Every face turned towards her. Victoria nodded. "She's not lying. I saw the girl too." A murmur spread across the room. The fear on everyone's face grew worse. Amanda looked at Miriam, who was sitting quietly like a child, deprived of snacks. "There's something I don't understand, Miriam." Miriam looked up. "When you were screaming, you kept saying, 'Please, Don't kill me, I'll talk. What did you mean by that? The color immediately drained from Miriam's face. Her hands began to tremble. She looked around the room nervously, as though she expected the mysterious girl to appear again. For several seconds, she said nothing. Victoria moved closer. Miriam, if you know something, this is the time to tell us. Miriam lowered her head. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. It was the girl. Amanda leaned forward. What about her? She's the one that killed Toby. The room went completely silent. Nobody moved. Nobody even dared to breathe. Amanda stared at her. What are you talking about? Fresh tears rolled down Miriam's cheeks. Toby liked one of the SS2 girls. He had been talking to her for 2 days now. He wanted her to come to his room. Amanda's expression hardened. Miriam continued. He asked me to help him. I stay in the girls' hostel during prep, sometimes because of my duties, so I agreed to sneak the girl out tonight and bring her to the lodge. Amanda looked at her in disbelief. You agreed to do that? Miriam burst into tears. I know it was wrong. I've been regretting it since Tope died. When that girl appeared beside my bed, she looked straight at me. Then she said, you're just like the others. The room became quiet. Amanda slowly looked down. The pieces were beginning to fit together. Aisha was not attacking people at random. She had appeared to Miriam because she was helping another core member do exactly what had been done to her 10 years ago. Nobody spoke for a long time. Finally, one of the male core members stood up. His name was Abdul. I've had enough of all this boarding school drama. Everyone looked at him. I came here to serve my country, not to die, and certainly not to live in fear of ghosts. Tomorrow morning, I'm leaving this school. He looked around the room. Who is coming with me? Almost every hand went up, except Amanda. Nobody wanted to remain in St. Mary the Virgin Girls College, obviously. Victoria turned to Amanda. You should come too. Amanda shook her head. I am not going anywhere. I cannot leave her like that. Victoria took a deep breath. Amanda, whatever happened to Aisha is not our responsibility. We've done enough. We are core members, Amanda. We came here to teach, not to solve a 10-year-old ghost mystery. Amanda looked at her hands. Part of her wanted to stay. Still, she believed Aisha needed help. But another part of her remembered Miriam's terror and all the terrifying things that she had experienced so far. She closed her eyes for a moment. Then she looked back at Victoria. All right, I'll come. A small smile appeared on Victoria's face. We leave first thing tomorrow morning, Abdul said. That night, every core member shared the same thought, to leave the school behind and never return. The following morning, the Corpers Lodge came alive much earlier than usual. Unlike the previous days, there were no cheerful conversations or laughter. Everyone was dressed casually and was busy packing. Suitcases were dragged across the floor. Wardrobes were emptied. Beds were neatly arranged one last time. Nobody wanted to spend another night in that school. Amanda zipped up her traveling bag and looked around room 6 one last time. It was hard to believe she had only arrived there a few days ago. Victoria appeared at the door with her own suitcase. Ready? Amanda nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. Together they walked out of the room and joined the others outside the lodge. A few minutes later, the bus arrived. The moment everyone saw it drive into the compound, a wave of relief spread across their faces. Finally, they were going home. The principal, Reverend Sister Beatrice, walked towards them with a forced smile. I truly wish things had turned out differently, she said. I'm sorry your service here had to end this way. I pray God grants all of you safe journey to your various destinations. No one replied.
After everything that had happened, nobody knew what to say to her anymore. One after another, the corps members loaded their bags into the bus and climbed aboard. Amanda found a seat beside the window. Victoria sat next to her. The engine started and the bus pulled away from the Corpers Lodge. It passed the chapel, the classroom blocks, the assembly ground. Everything looked peaceful. The bus approached the school gate. Amanda let out a sigh of relief. "It's finally over," she whispered. As the bus rolled through the gates, she turned for one last time to take a look at the school. Then, her heart skipped. Standing alone in the middle of the compound was Aisha. She was wearing the same old school uniform. Her hair partly covered her face. This time, she wasn't crying. She simply stood there, watching the bus leave. A faint smile rested on her face. Amanda's body went cold. She closed her eyes and opened them again. Aisha was still there, watching. Amanda quickly looked away. She did not say a word to Victoria. A strange feeling settled inside her. She felt guilty, as though she was abandoning someone who desperately needed her. But another part of her was relieved. Whatever had happened in that school, it was finally behind them. Also, she thought. The bus continued its journey. Soon the school disappeared from sight. They drove past villages Amanda had never seen before, crossed narrow bridges and long stretches of lonely road. Hours passed. The sun climbed high into the sky, then slowly began to set. At first, everyone chatted excitedly about getting home. Later, the atmosphere began to change. Something felt strange. Victoria looked out of the window. Haven't we been on this road for too long? And why does it look like we've gone through this road before? Abdul checked the time on his phone. We've been driving almost the whole day. Shouldn't we have reached the expressway by now? Driver. The driver did not answer. He simply kept driving. Darkness slowly covered the road. The headlights cut through the night as the bus rounded another bend. Then, the driver suddenly slowed down. Amanda frowned. Why are we stopping? No one answered. The bus rolled forward for a few more meters before coming to a complete stop. The engine stopped. The corps members looked at one another. Amanda leaned towards the window. The moment she looked outside, every drop of blood seemed to leave her body. Standing directly in front of them was the familiar iron gate, St. Mary the Virgin Girls' College. The silence that followed was deafening. Nobody spoke. Nobody understood how it was possible. They had spent the entire day driving away from Umuchu, yet somehow they had come right back to where they started. Fear gripped them. This can't be possible, one of the corps members whispered. We've been driving since morning. How are we still here? Abdul quickly stood up. Driver, start the engine and turn around. What nonsense games are you playing with us? Take us out of this place. The others immediately joined in. Driver, move this bus now. What is all this? Commotion filled the bus. Everyone was speaking at the same time. The now confused driver started the engine. It coughed like a sick old man and died immediately. He tried again. No response. Suddenly, he sat completely still, both hands gripping the steering wheel too firmly. Amanda noticed something was wrong. His shoulders were shaking. Slowly, he lifted his head and stared through the windscreen. His eyes widened. His breathing became heavier. Driver, Victoria called softly. He did not answer. He continued staring at something outside. Amanda followed his eyes. There was nothing there, only the school gate. Then suddenly, the driver unlocked the bus doors. You people should get down. The corps members looked at one another. Abdul frowned. What do you mean get down? Drive, Joe. The driver shook his head repeatedly. I can't. Please, leave my bus, all of you. I will not be a part of this. The driver looked back at them. His voice was literally trembling and there was real fear in his eyes. Please, everybody should get down. Nobody argued anymore. One after the other, they carried their bags down. The moment the last person stepped onto the road, the driver started the engine again and it worked smoothly. Without another word, he sped away. Within seconds, the bus disappeared into the darkness. The corps members stood silently outside the gate. The only sound was the wind blowing through the trees. Nobody wanted to go back inside. After a while, Abdul broke the silence. No. Everyone looked at him. I'm not going back into that school. He pointed down the lonely road. The next village can't be too far from here. If we're able to make it there, I believe we'll find a cheap hotel, spend the night there, then continue our journey tomorrow morning. The others nodded. It sounded like a sensible plan. Amanda wasn't convinced. Something deep inside her told her it wouldn't work, but she followed the others anyway. The group picked up their bags and started walking. They walked for almost an hour, then another. The road stretched endlessly before them. There were no houses, no shops, no motorcycles, not even a single person. Victoria wiped the sweat from her forehead. This is strange. We should have seen another village by now. Abdul refused to stop. Let's keep moving. We are getting close. I'm sure of it. So they kept walking. They walked for miles. Their feet began to ache. Some of them dropped their bags for a few seconds to catch their breaths before continuing. Then Amanda suddenly stopped walking. Her face turned pale. Victoria noticed immediately. Amanda, what is it? Amanda raised a trembling hand and pointed ahead. Everyone looked up and the color drained from their faces. Standing quietly before them was the same wrought iron gate, the same old signboard, St. Mary the Virgin Girls College, Omocho. They were all shocked. They had walked in one direction the entire time. They had never turned back. Yet somehow, they had returned to the exact place they had left. Victoria whispered, "This isn't possible. What is going on?" Abdul slowly dropped his traveling bag onto the ground. All his morale and bravery had died. At this point, the corps members accepted the terrifying truth. They were trapped. No one knew what to do anymore. So one after another, they picked up their bags and walked into the school and back towards the Corpers lodge. The lodge was completely dark when they reached there. Every light had been switched off. Without the bright lights that had welcomed them a few days earlier, the building looked cold and frightening. They were so afraid you could see it by just looking at them. They stood there trying to figure out what to do. Amanda suddenly heard a faint whisper. "Amanda!" She froze. The voice had come from her right. She slowly turned her head. Standing a few meters away was Aisha. She was wearing the same uniform. Her head was slightly raised. Amanda could swear she saw a cold smile on her face. Her heart skipped 1,000 beats. She quickly grabbed Victoria's arms. "Victoria!" Victoria turned. "What is it?" "It's her." Amanda pointed. "Aisha, look. She's smiling. She did this." Victoria immediately looked at the direction Amanda was pointing. There was no one there. She looked back at Amanda. "I don't see anyone." Amanda looked again. Aisha had disappeared. Amanda lowered her head. "I told you we shouldn't have tried to leave." "What do you mean?" Victoria asked. Amanda looked back at the lodge. "There is no way out of this place until we do what she wants." "But how do we do that?" Victoria snapped. "Sister Beatrice," Amanda replied calmly. Almost as if she had heard her name, a familiar voice came from behind them. "The security man told me you had all returned." The corps members turned. Reverend Sister Beatrice was walking towards them, carrying a basket of keys. She looked at their frightened faces. "Have you all changed your minds?" "We did not return," Abdul snapped. "That demon in your school brought us back." "She is not a demon," Amanda cut in sharply. Everyone turned to look at her. The lady named Cynthia frowned. "What do you mean she's not a demon? She killed Tobe and almost killed Miriam. Only a demon does that." Amanda shook her head. No. Tobe died because of what he did, and Miriam was attacked because she agreed to help him. Victoria touched Amanda's arm. Amanda. But Amanda wasn't finished yet. I've seen her. I've been seeing her since the day we arrived. Her name is Aisha. Aisha Ali. She looked straight at Reverend Sister Beatrice. But I'm sure you already know that, sister. The Reverend Sister said nothing. Amanda took another step forward. Something terrible happened to Aisha 10 years ago in this school. She turned to the others. Did you guys know that this school wasn't always St. Mary the Virgin Girls College? It used to be St. Joanna Girls Secondary School, which was established in 1999. Aisha Ali, an SS3 student, disappeared in 2016, and I believe some core members too died. St. Joanna Girls College was shut down. Now, 10 years later, the school has been rebranded and everyone thinks it's a new school. Everyone looked at Amanda with wide eyes. I believe that Aisha died in this school, maybe inside that Corpers lodge. I'm also beginning to believe Tobe died because he was repeating what someone did to Aisha. And those core members, they probably knew the truth and kept quiet, just like Miriam. The compound fell silent. Not even the wind seemed to blow. Amanda continued speaking. Aisha spoke to me twice, and both times she said the same thing. Find me. She looked around at every frightened face. Today has proved that she meant every word. No one is leaving the school until we find her. There is no way out of here. The silence that followed was almost unbearable. Finally, Reverend Sister Beatrice cleared her throat. I only came to return your room keys. She held up the basket. You should all get some rest. Amanda stepped in front of her, blocking her path. Not this time, sister. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I believe you know what happened to Aisha. The Reverend Sister slowly shook her head. I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't even serving in this school 10 years ago. Victoria stepped forward immediately. That's not true, sister. Her voice was very calm but firm. You are a woman of God. You shouldn't lie. The Reverend Sister's face changed. Panic took over. Victoria continued. We heard your conversation with the police officer that day. You knew Tobe did not die from epilepsy. You paid him to tell everyone that story because you were afraid this school would be shut down again. The color drained from Reverend Sister Beatrice's face. She looked genuinely trapped. She felt cornered. Victoria took one more step forward. You were here 10 years ago, sister. You were the principal. I saw your face in the yearbook. And tonight, no one is going to sleep until you tell us what happened to Aisha and to those core members. Reverend Sister Beatrice stood motionless. The basket of keys trembled slightly in her hands. She looked at Amanda, then at Victoria, then at the frightened core members gathered around her. Then she let out a long, tired sigh. You are right. Everyone held their breath. I've been hiding the truth, and I have a good reason. Believe me, I have a very good reason. A wave of murmuring spread through the group. So it's true. You know what has been happening? The now frustrated Abdul cut in. The Reverend Sister nodded slowly. I know, because I was here. Amanda felt her heart pounding. So tell us, what happened? The Reverend Sister looked around the dark compound. Not here. I don't know who or what is listening. Her words sent a chill through everyone. If I'm going to tell you the truth, then you must come with me to my apartment. It's the only place where we can talk. Amanda looked at Victoria. Victoria gave a small nod. They had come too far to turn back now. Amanda faced the Reverend Sister. We are coming. One after another, the core members nodded in agreement. Nobody wanted to spend another minute in the dark courtyard anyway. Without another word, Reverend Sister Beatrice turned around. She began walking towards her quarters. They all picked up their bags and quietly followed behind her. None of them noticed, from the darkness near the abandoned side of the compound, a pair of tear-filled eyes watched them leave.